Well, as you can see, it's almost at the point of being dark, so a short introduction this time, once I've worked out where I'm going to trap. Well, another trapping session, and on a good night too. Shame we didn't have the cloudiness of this evening last night, to be honest. But I don't suppose we'll get 30, well, I ended up with 32 species at Car. I'm hoping for 20 here, that's my target. Maybe in amongst that 20 will be the BBT, otherwise known as the big blue thing, otherwise known again as the Clifton Nonpareil. This is the spot that trapped 3 of them last year. What a night that was. And it's highly likely that one of those will turn up again this evening, but it'd be nice to see some other species that I don't see all that often. And again, it'd be nice to see some of the autumn moths showing us that beautiful, brilliant yellow coloration. At the moment, I haven't seen a moth, not even a chestnut, but it is early days and it's only 5-10 minutes into this session. So we'll see what we get here at Gamston Wood on the 7th of October, once I've had a cup of tea. I wish it was something stronger. But it's just strong tea. Well, here's a very nice start indeed, because I didn't think that a Merveille de Jour or Merveille de Jour would be the 3rd moth in at the light. I saw a largish moth come in. It appeared quite dark, and my initial reactions, because I was some distance away, was that it was a green brindled crescent. It was green, I was right on that part, but I didn't realise it was this beauty. And what a thing it is. I know I've showed you this just a couple of videos ago, but what a moth, honestly, what a moth. It really is a thing of beauty and, of course, pristine condition. In fact, I haven't checked, but the one I got at Lownwood at the end of September, I think, is my earliest ever. I don't think I've had one in September before. Normally this is a moth of October and those cooler nights. And what a thing to warm up those cooler nights. Merveille de Jour is. well, something of a little mystery here. When I'm trapping in quiet moments, I do tend to just have a wander and look on the nearby vegetation for the leaf mines or even caterpillars, and of course it's a caterpillar that I found here. But the problem is, which caterpillar is it? It's obviously one of the kittens. It's either sallow kitten or it's poplar kitten. Sallow kitten has 2 broods, and if this is sallow kitten, it means that sallow kitten has probably had 3 broods, because this is very, very late as far as I've ever known. Poplar kitten only has 1 brood. With poplar kitten, the caterpillar can be found on poplars and aspens and occasionally willows. Sallow kitten, the caterpillar is found on sallows and willows. I've seen no mention of aspen being used. The question is then, is this poplar or is it sallow kitten? It's in a molt, whatever it is, the head case is pushed well forward and it is very, very late, so it's going home to be reared and then released next year. I've had a quick look to try and determine any differences in the caterpillars, and to be honest I can't see them from what I've just seen online. So the simplest method is do what they used to do years ago. If you didn't know what it was, you took it home and you reared it through and ultimately determined the identification. So this little chap is having a run home with me. Or 2 Merville de jour for the price of 1 in this shop. I don't want to make anybody jealous, but there's a 3rd one on the other side of the box too, which has just come in. I've never trapped 3 before, had 2 on several occasions, but not 3. What a lovely sight. We're well over an hour into this session now, and we're on 19 species, which is quite promising. It might not sound a lot, and probably isn't if you're sort of down south in the UK, but we're not. We're in the Midlands here. We're just outside the town of Retford in northeast Nottinghamshire here at Gamston Wood. It's a Nottinghamshire Wildlife Trust Reserve, and over the years has produced a range of good moths, dotted chestnut being one of them only earlier this year. But tonight, say of those 19 species, there are some nice moths. You've seen, or I've told you about the 3 Merville de jour, but other moths that have come in, singles of large and lesser yellow underwing. We're just about heading towards the last of those, I think, for 2025. Copper underwing, quite a fresh individual. That was a surprise, because the last copper underwing I had a few trapping sessions ago was really tattered, so that was a nice late one. But we had singles of Willow Beauty come in. The first 2 November moths have arrived, and that's a sign of a species that we're going to trap a lot of, depending on how many times we get to run the trap between now and the end of 2025. There's a single brick come in, and pink barred sallow too. 3 chestnuts have arrived, and green brindle crescent are just now into double figures. So a nice range of macro moths. In fact, there's another red line quaker that's just turned up. And if we look quickly at the micro moths while I'm going through them, Blastobasis lacticolella is one, and Blastobasis adustella. There's 2 names I just fired at you. And then Epinosia nicella is the last of the ones that I've not told you about. But all in all, it's a nice range of moths. It's a nice night, and I'm getting ready for another cup of tea. Well, here's a species that hasn't made it to the trapping list. This is Emelina monodactyla, otherwise known as the common plume, and you may well recognise the shape of this if you're not into your moths, when you've seen something like this sat on your creosoted fence, which is often where you find the species during the day. They rest completely openly, but don't look at all moth-like. And this, as the name implies, is the commonest really of the plume moths. And it's nectaring here on this, well, what looks like an angelica. A nice one to add to the species list for this evening. A cracking name, Emelina monodactyla. Try practicing it. Well, I mentioned green brindled crescent a number of times, and here's one tucked away on the side of the box. Commonest species tonight. It'll almost certainly end up being the commonest species, and it was last night too. This is a wide-ranging moth. It's a moth that you'll get at home and comes in two general colour forms. This is a bit intermediate really, but can be beautifully coloured in green, or it can be a chocolate brown with just a hint of markings on it. The markings that you can see now, they're sort of lost in amongst the dark brown of the brown form. It's a very attractive moth, green brindled crescent, and is a species which is certainly doing very well at the moment. Well, I'm not sure whether I've showed you any footage of a live specimen of Carcina quercana. I've certainly put photographs in, and I know that I've tried to film one, but always been disturbed by crane flies or large yellow underwings and the like. But Carcina quercana is a very, very attractive moth. It's a rather strange ground colour, almost like a pinkish brownish element to the majority of the forewings, and there's a single yellow blotch on the outer edges, or at the leading edges of both forewings, and then there's that beautiful golden border edged in red. Beautiful thing, really is. And one which you'll trap at home. It turns up anywhere really in the vicinity of oaks, but it really is a little cracker. It's very pleasant. Temperature still 14 centigrade. There are a few moths coming in. There's not many what you would call a bycatch of other invertebrates. Only a handful of crane flies, and not really much in the way of Diptera at all, or even Hemiptera. Hemiptera are bugs, true bugs. There's a sallow that's recently come in, which is new for this evening. That takes us on to 21 species. But in general, there's relatively few insects at the light, despite the lovely conditions. Still the three Mervier du jour. It's very nice just to, well, either sit and relax, or like me, just lie down and relax. I have got a bit of carpet or a mat underneath me. It's just lovely. I'd rather be doing this than just sat watching television. Sometimes you sit and watch television for the sake of watching something on television. At least doing this, it's useful. End of the year, sending the records that I accumulate into, well, Nottinghamshire Wildlife Trust for the records on their reserves, but also to my local record centre at Wallerton Hall, which, as I keep telling everybody, that should be a first port of call for sending any records to. But I do also send records or copies of records to most of the county recorders. No point having a record sat on your own computer, not shared with anybody else. But the big thing I get out of all this is the enjoyment of it. Despite the generator running in the background, it is peaceful and quiet. Doing something that you love doing, pretty much the best thing you can do, especially when you get such rewards out of it. And moth trapping is very much a pastime or a hobby of rewards. And the more you put in, the more rewards you get. Still no BBT though, no big blue thing. I thought we'd score with the Clifton Nonpareil. Always nice to see a barred sallow. That beautiful bright sort of canary yellow with those sort of dark pinkish brownish markings. Quite variable, but very nice to see indeed. Always nice to get these autumn moths. Rather busy for trains at the moment. One's just gone north and one's gone south down towards London, but I may well be heading sort of southwest from here at 10 o'clock, heading back down to Market Warsop, just outside of Mansfield. It depends if anything comes in this next sort of 20 minutes. It's 21:40 at the moment. The good thing about these, well, increasingly longer nights, it means it gets darker early and you can have 3 or 4 hours moth trapping and still be home in time for your supper, more or less. I am getting hungry, I must admit. So we'll see what happens in the next sort of 20 minutes. If nothing of note or interest comes in, then we'll make tracks for home.